good this in locker room. Great.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Furman Football Weekly with head coach Clay Hendricks. The Paladins are coming off of a 17-16 road win at the Citadel in the 104th meeting between those teams, and we'll turn their attention now to Chattanooga on Saturday here at Paladin Stadium. Furman now 2-3 overall, 1-0 in the Southern Conference. Joining coach is Luke Clark and Eli Brasher. And as always, Coach, we'll let you make the opening statement, and then I'm going to ask the first question this time.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dan. Again, appreciate you being here. Certainly thrilled to get a win in Charleston. Really tough, hard-fought game, and I just can't say enough just about our kids just hanging in there. Obviously, we didn't play like we'd like to play majority of the game, but we made enough plays down the stretch. I think the true character of our young men kind of came to the forefront, and we made some plays and, kind of played Furman football in the fourth quarter. And we just got to be better at doing that sooner in games and continue to be our own worst enemy sometimes. Not to take anything away from them, but you look even defensively, the first half when I think we ran 17 plays on offense, which a little bit of fault of the offense and the defense, them being able to stay on the field on defense, but just, 5 penalties. I think every one of them really hurt us. Extended drives, obviously gave up, I think, one explosive play the whole day. It was just kind of a weird game the way it went. Which shouldn't happen. Had several of those times on third down. Should have been able to get off the field, but penalties, extended drives, 2 fourth down penalties, kept them going. And even the, offense, we had the one penalty, which on video, it's not a penalty, where we weren't covered up. We scored a touchdown, and fortunately we were able to come back and overcome that. But, it's you got to find a way to win games, and our guys should be credited with being able to do that. And, certainly we're a work in progress. We'll have to continue to try to get better to clean up some things that we're just not doing very well, and that's probably a reflection on coaching as much as anything, which comes back to me. So we're going to work really hard, and I really just challenged our guys, yesterday to have our best week of practice this coming week. And, got really, really good Chattanooga team coming to town, and, our games with them, we kind of all know what to expect. So this will be a huge challenge, but it's also a great opportunity for us. We're happy to be 1-0 in the Southern Conference and with a chance to play at home. So with that, we'll take any questions you may have.
I want all three of you to address this. And Clay, obviously, you've had quite a bit more experience of this as a player and a coach, but just the swing of emotions from 52 minutes of maybe the most frustrating football you've seen in a long time, and then the elation at the end. I mean, can you recall?
Yeah, I think Hunter.
That happening very often.
I think Hunter asked me that. I've had some games where maybe you didn't play very well and you found a way to get it done. Probably not one quite like that. So now it's a little bit of a relief. Relief's probably a good word to use there sometime. But just, again, proud of our kids and our coaches. Everybody hung in there, both sides of the ball. Because really at the end of the day, we got 5 straight 3-and-outs to end the game on defense. And, we played pretty well offensively. We changed a few little things. We played a little more tempo. The running game, we couldn't run the ball at some point because we weren't going to catch up if we kept doing that. We had some good run plays down the stretch that helped us. But no, probably can't quite remember one like that. I mean, I've had some games where you rallied to win it, but maybe didn't play so poorly for the majority of the game before you did it, and that's probably what's a little different.
Yeah, I'd probably say the only game that felt like that was the first game at Chattanooga last year. But even that was a little bit different because, we weren't necessarily playing as bad as I felt like we were playing this week, And I think, at least defensively, the thing that I think we're getting good at, and that reminded me of that game, was just kind of just keep playing, put your head down, because we can't make the offense score. Or, all we can do is just go get 3-and-outs. And I think once we settled in, really at the end of the game, that's when we were playing Furman football.
I can't really say I've ever been a part of a game where it's the first 3 quarters, at least offensively, are so slow. Like, we played, what Coach said, 17 snaps in the first half. So no rhythm. And then once we started going tempo, I felt like things really started to change.
And this will be for all three as well, but is it hard to keep an even keel during everything that went on, and what can this mean for you as you go forward in games you play?
Well, I told him after the game, hopefully this is, we keep talking about taking steps, we've kind of been baby stepping all year, and maybe this is a good step. Just, again, I think it's another moment you got to go back and watch the tape, realize, what are we not doing well, what we got to continue to fix and get better at. Because, again, we're doing a lot of good things, but just the frustrating part's just been the inconsistency. And, we carried 35 freshmen to that game Saturday. 35, I counted it. Well, it's not all them. Some of our older guys, are making some big mistakes. Now, some of them are playing really good, but they're making big mistakes. And right now it just seems to be when we make a mistake, it really costs us. And that's kind of been the MO for the year, And so, and again, there's only way to get better, go work, and prepare, and try to be better, this week.
Yeah, I don't think there's really anything easy in any aspect of football, especially winning is really hard. And, going up there and getting the win is huge for us. And I just think, we're still kind of our own worst enemies in a lot of aspects. When we play good, we look really good. When we play bad, we look really, really bad. So we got to, fix that for sure.
Yeah, just going off what they said, it's really just got to really focus in on the little details, because right now it's the little details that are killing us, especially offensively.
Coach, on the game-winning touchdown, you lined up in the I formation, so I knew it was going to work. But after 3 straight runs and you fake toss to the left, I think a lot of times on that play, especially like the other tight end, you expect maybe to get wide open. Jackson Pryor wasn't necessarily wide open, but can you speak to Trey Haddon's confidence to still make that throw, make that play? And another throw earlier in the drive, too, where he just had a laser in between 2 defenders to just have the confidence.
Trey played well. Trey makes he makes some mistakes like every quarterback does, and people see him when it happens. But man, he made some plays down the stretch. He's a talented guy. He's confident. Our guys have confidence in him. He's getting better and better. I tell you what happened. We had we're having a little more success running it. When we did that, and we've actually been a little better at some just direct. Even the William Mary from there on down in there running the ball at people. And I think, probably us getting under center at that point in time, I think they probably thought we were going to probably try to cram it in on them. But, they played a lot more man coverage really all day than maybe we anticipated from them to begin with. And, Scott, be honest with you, where I was standing, it was hard to see, and, I didn't really until I saw the tape. And I actually saw maybe a clip on the way home that I didn't realize how good of a throw and even how good of a catch it was. And, I thought it was kind of funny, true freshman quarterback to true, that's Jackson's second game he's ever played in, and he continues to show up. And then freshman gets picked in the game, So now I think really good call, but, calls there are lots of good calls, but what can you go execute? And, my biggest concern was just some kind of wide edge pressure. When you're under center like that, how's he going to respond when he comes off that? But again, good play call when you go execute it well, but really good all around.
Eli, it seemed like as the game wore on and you guys started doing more tempo, is it just me, or was I seeing the same thing you guys were seeing? Is like it looked like they were getting pretty fatigued there.
They definitely were. I felt like, especially pass rush wise, as we kept on going more tempo and they weren't able to sub in and out and play more snaps, that they really wore down. And we're getting very tired out there, especially their D tackles. You just feel them breathing heavy.
I have a suspicion, I'm on my second press conference, that I'm going to ask something that's already been asked. But I'm sure there's a tangible and an intangible agreement. Fatigue mentioned. But Furman went from having almost no offense to having a prolific offense in the fourth quarter. And I'm sure adjustments and all that, what all went into that? How did that happen?
Well, I think coverage-wise, they did some things. We adjusted a little bit, maybe what we're expecting going in. I think what Monty right now, and everybody likes to bring up the run game, and the run game's driving me crazy too. But man, and what's a little? I told our team yesterday, what's a little different on offense? It only takes one screwing it up, to really screw it up. I tell them, defensive lineman can be out of a gap, or a linebacker, if somebody's covering for them. It doesn't. But when you do that offensively, and that's kind of been the story of our year on offense. We had two, simple gap scheme power plays called that both should have been great plays, and we don't attack where we're supposed to attack. But it's maybe simple, a guy not putting his hat where it's supposed to be. Maybe a step, first step, second step, and sometimes you get away with that, but this just seems to be the year, man, where it catches up with you. We did go tempo, but still in tempo, you got to be able to execute, because if you don't, you're off the field that much quicker. If your tempo limits you a little bit in the run game, some things you can do. But we were throwing and catching pretty well. We protected pretty well. We protected pretty well for most of the day when we didn't bust some assignments. We busted 2 assignments, gave them 2 cheap ones, and 1 or 2 of those were on Trey. Maybe one was on the back. So it kind of takes everybody, but by and large, they gave him a chance to go play, and we just executed a little better. And we got we were getting those stops. You got a little confidence, a little more energy. Which is, our game's a huge game of emotion, and you certainly could sense if you're watching that game, if you're down on the field, you certainly could sense that, even from the latter part of the third quarter on into the fourth quarter.
Luke and Elijah, what was being said on the sidelines as, like, when the defense is on the sideline and offense is going in, after you got that field goal, knowing, hey, we're back in this game, we're holding them, what was being said on the sideline between the guys from both standpoints?
Yeah, for defense, it's always kind of the same message at least from me, is, we got to go out there and do our job and get a stop. Like, we didn't do our job in the first half, didn't get them the ball enough. And then, I think, one of those 3 and outs doesn't happen, we might lose that game 100%. So I think the big thing that I was saying and what Coach Vaughn was saying was just, hey, do our job, stay in tune, and just make sure we, get the ball back.
Yeah, what I say for us, the big thing for us was just keep playing and keep trying to do our best and go execute. Really, the biggest importance was on executing, and we finally started executing in that fourth quarter, which, showed.
Also, something that I just kind of remembered, too, is Coach Vaughn says this a lot, and I really like it, is not getting too high and not getting too low, right? A lot of times in football games, the emotions are kind of up and down, and especially in those critical moments, we want to do our best to stay kind of level-headed and keep high energy and stay high, but, really don't get too out of control and feel like you have to do too much. And I think we did a good job at the end, staying calm, collected, but, still going out there with a lot of amazing effort.
And you really I feel like a big, like what Luke's saying, like even kill almost. Like you have to stay mentally level-headed even when, like, the emotions are high, and not playing emotional and making crucial mistakes is a big part of that.
Luke, when we talk about rhythm in football, it's usually associated with the offense, oftentimes associated with the quarterback getting into a rhythm. Do you get into a rhythm as a pass rusher? Because as that game went on, the sacks maybe didn't come, but the hits were definitely coming. You were getting to their quarterback almost every time you drop back. Do you get into a quote-unquote rhythm as a pass rusher?
Yeah, I agree with you. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to settle in and feel out, how they set and what they're doing. But later in the game, man, I just felt really good. Felt like I was just getting off the ball really well. And, I probably hit them 6-7 times that game, but mostly, like, almost all in the second half. But, yeah, I think just like anything, when you start feeling good and you're playing well, and when you're playing fast, you certainly have success, especially as a pass rusher.
I think Luke will see, Luke probably will tell you, I think he had 7 quarterback hurries. He had 1 sack?
Yeah.
He had said, the last play, just watching that guy trying to make that throw with where he was. So, I mean, certainly that is a huge part of it.
It's for both players and maybe coach as well, but would you like to have a trip where you don't have to stop and get everybody on the same bus? And how did you guys fit on there?
I literally feel like we've been on the road every game. That's just how it's felt. It's been the craziest year. We had a little snafu. We had a medical emergency, not with us, but bus driver. And he's doing well, but we had to, change our plans a little bit, leaving again. And it's just been, I don't know. I think we've done it so much now, we just kind of adjust it and move on. But our guys have handled it all pretty well.
Yeah, it was starting to be good to play this week. I really, this is my last year, and not being able to play last week really made me realize, and probably gave me a little bit more extra energy to this game to realize, these, it's not guaranteed to get to play, and missing one really hurt. But it was awesome just to be able to go play. And like Coach said, it has felt like we've been on the road every game. It's been a really wild year, but it's one we'll probably never forget, especially if we do the right things.
Yeah, I mean, it's been one of the strangest starts to the year, especially with all the travel. But if anything, it's made us closer as a team, which in the long run will be good.
Luke, a lot of times you'll see a game where a team kind of makes a miraculous comeback, and the other team has one possession left, and the defense that had played so well is so elated with finally playing with a lead. It's a little bit of a letdown or whatever. It seemed like you guys got more energized. Man, going back and watch that last drive, you pressured him on first down, forced a bad throw. Jeremiah Jackson got to him on second down, forced a throw that guy lost his balance and lost 3 yards, and then you got to him on the last play to force the interception. Can you speak to the was it just kind of a mindset, hey, one more bell to answer and that's it?
Yeah, I mean, I was playing like we were down. Like I wanted to get a strip sack. I wanted to get the ball back myself, and I think all of our front four guys, our pass rushers, felt the same way. And we just, I think it's easy to get super tentative in those situations and kind of come back on your heels when, the best thing you can do is go forward and continue pressuring the quarterback. I think I had 3 of the 7 in those last 4 plays, just, because they're finally dropping back because they had to. And, that's when we get them in that game, I think I can win almost every time. And I think it just speaks to the character of our team and what we can be, Really proud of that last drive, and I think those last 5 drives they had were all 3 and outs, and just really proud of the way they went out and finished the game. Obviously didn't handle our business in the first 3 quarters, but being able to go out there, pressure the quarterback, come up with the ball, game over. It's one of the best feelings you never have.
Luke, right there, I guess early or maybe midway through the fourth quarter where there was the muff punt, and then as a defense, that's like an immediate challenge because, in your mind, if you allow a touchdown there, it's going to be pretty tough to do what you did. Do you like those kind of challenges? And as a defense collectively, can you kind of speak for the guys when you like that challenge to kind of go in there and redeem your teammate?
Yeah, certainly. It's obviously it's a great opportunity to display what you want to be and who you are as a team. Obviously I'd love not to be in the situation. If games could be as easy as they could, I'd take it. But I have a lot of trust in Colton. He's our guy. He muffed a punt. So what? Now what? Let's go get the ball back. They score there, completely different game. And I'm just, that's one of those moments too where I'm really proud of, guys just run it like sudden change, put your helmet on, go. I think we just sat down too from the drive, run right back out there, go play, was it a field goal? Hold them to a field goal. Win the game by 1 point. So they score there, we lose. So, just, great effort. And, it's so crazy watching film how much we could be better. And, I'm still just really proud of that. But, effort without execution doesn't really mean much.
Earlier, you were saying that part of the reason the offense, or Eli is that they were getting tired. If anybody in the world ought to be tired, it was the Furman defense, because Siddle had the ball for 37 minutes and something. And Luke, when you were ever out there, was that ever a factor? You didn't allow yourself to notice how much time you're on the field.
Yeah, certainly, played a lot of plays. It gets me individually. Like last year, I had Alex backing me up. We rotated pretty consistently, so pretty much playing half plays. And this year, I play a lot more plays. And, you know, I do get tired. I'm not inhuman, but I think the situation that calls for you to come up and just make the plays is so much more important, and you don't even notice it really until after the game.
Adrenaline makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really does, especially when you get a big sack or big play. You know, it kind of removes all that tiredness. So, you know, we certainly got to get the ball back to our offense. I mean, that's huge. We can't let teams hold the ball like that on us. We got to get off the field. You know, if we want to be successful, we need to dominate, you know, all phases. And
Two questions. First one for Coach. Go back to William and Mary, and Ian missed 2 field goals within, a 29-yarder, 26-yarder. So it would be easy just to kind of overlook the fact that he hit the 26-yarder that ultimately played a role in the win. Just your experience in dealing with kickers and their mindset and the kind of work that he puts in.
Yeah, you know, Ian's pretty level, even-keeled guy. I think Coach Spangler wouldn't give a Special Teams Player of the Week this week. He you know, if you had to give one, he might have gotten it. But I think that's his way of keeping him a little uncomfortable, you know, and I think we all sometimes practice a little better, play a little better, even as coaches when we're a little uncomfortable. So I think right now, I think that's a little bit for our team, you know, just staying on the edge a little bit. And, you know, we're nowhere near where we want to be, you know, but we can get there. But Ian works, and Ian's focused, and you know, he had a really solid day. We think he can punt it a little better, and he punted it. But he's been solid. You know, he's like Colton. Yeah, it happens. You know, you're a guy. Go. When you get the next opportunity, take advantage of it. And certainly everything he had. You know, he knocked the kick through. Which for us at that time was just getting a chance to get some points. You know, disappointed we didn't get a touchdown, and then certainly had to do, you know, make those 2 kicks at the end. He punted pretty well, and as most weeks, I don't think they had a return on a kickoff. So all that helps.
And the other question, Hunter Reed's not with us physically today, but he has submitted a question for Luke. He wants to know if a sack where you drive the offensive lineman back into the quarterback, is that the ultimate for you?
yeah, I've been pretty close a few times. Sometimes it's hard, you know, because you want to make the sack so much, and based on certain calls, it kind of dictates how I rush. And sometimes when I'm bull rushing, I think there's a few where I just push the guy straight past him, and sometimes it's hard to come off. But yeah, that would be pretty cool to do. I've been pretty close.
Coach, you've been a part of a lot of games over your career where you've had to come back. Where does this past game rank as far as, you know, being in that moment, not much time left, and able to come back and get the win? I know you've been a part of a lot of games like that, but where does this one rank?
You know, somebody else asked me something about that. You know, I don't know. Obviously, it was great to go down there and get a win. You know, 104th meeting, you know, I knew we'd get their best shot, you know, and I think probably I think, again, it's one thing to rally at the end to win a game, but I think just the way how poorly we had played for our kids just to continue to hang in there and find a way, and it really took all 3 phases, you know. You know, it was the stops, but it's also doing the things we had to do offensively. A lot of different guys did it, and then even had to be really good in the kicking game to finish it, you know. And, you know, you talk about the end of the game, you know, so a few times we put them in a situation where we could pin our ears back and go after them. We'd let them kind of play ahead of the chains all day. And, you know, he'd been hurt with some screens and some quarterback draws and stuff earlier in the game. And so, you know, I think we're a pretty good team that gets after the passer, pretty good, even when they know it's, you know, pass, we can do that. We just couldn't put them in those situations enough the other day. We kept letting them move the chains and stay on the field, and we made it a lot easier for them, you know. And then certainly there at the end, they had to do something they weren't as comfortable at doing it, you know, and you know, again, I thought that was a strength for us.
Coach, a moment ago, Scott asked about Luke and Jeremiah Jackson there at the end and the pressure. I want to go back to a play. I think it was the first half toward your sideline. It was an option play, and Jeremiah Jackson made that play. And just from an effort standpoint, maybe what it meant to you and as players watching that as well.
I think that was the drive after was that the drive after the fumbled punt? I think it was. I think that was the 3rd down call. And if you remember, one of the few times we felt like we had them backed up and we were going to get field position, they run the same play, a little speed option, backed up and pitching, I don't know, gained about 15 yards. And, Dwayne, it's funny, Dwayne called out some guys on certain plays during the game that we didn't do what we were supposed to, and he owned that one. He just said, put us in a bad position to be able to defend that play with just a call he made. And, and then certainly JJ, great effort by him. And, again, it was a play that hurt us early in the game, and they came back to it. That was huge. I mean, you can go watch the tape. I think Kevin Lewis was over there, was pretty excited with JJ. But, that was just another, that was a huge play for us. Gave us a chance, really by getting that stop, forced him to kick. And then the guy even made the kick. So, our game's that's such a big part of our game, and we got to find more ways to create those kind of plays.
I know you're from Black Mountain, right outside of Asheville. I
Yes, sir.
Wonder what that such an emotional win on an emotional week. I'm sure was football. Was it hard to get? Was it hard to concentrate on football, or was it kind of a welcome distraction from all the realities that maybe you and your family were kind of dealing with?
Yes, it was definitely. It's honestly been a gift having football here and having it as a distraction of what's going on at home. So it's helped so much being able to have my mind somewhere else and have a goal and focusing on that. It's helped a lot.
Coach, kind of switching gears to Chattanooga. I know there were a couple of guys that went down late, Xavier Stevens and Jalen Mosen. What's the update on those guys going forward?
Well, we're off today, so I usually, my attitude is usually we'll go out there on Tuesday and see who can practice. And you get this time of year, you got some guys. Some practices are limited, so we'll just kind of have to see. I think they're all get a little better each day. Kind of dealt with that Ryan Lamb last week. He ended up playing most of the game Saturday, so we'll just kind of have to see how that goes. And certainly the Chattanooga group. Like I said, it's good to actually, let's talk about the next one, and, certainly the games we've had with them. It's funny, I think they're a lot like us the way their year started. I think the start of their year really affected them. I actually talked to Rusty, after the week one. They had Tennessee, we had Ole Miss. Similar kind of the way it turned out. Then they turned around and played Georgia State. Well, guess what? Georgia State beat Vanderbilt. What did Vanderbilt just do? So you get into this, people try to compare scores. Then they played Mercer, and could have easily won the game. It was a tough football game and low scoring, not many yards gained. And it could, so they were sitting there, and all of a sudden they won 2 in a row, went to East Tennessee. So people try to compare scores. You can't compare scores. Every game's a little different. Matchups are always a little bit different. They're the same people I thought they were before the season. And had one of the few teams in our league had a returning quarterback. He's healthy. He got hurt in our first game last year. Didn't play in the playoff game. They've got talent. They got size and length, and they do a good job coaching them. They know who they are, and we'll have to absolutely have our best week. I think they're probably the most complete team we've played, certainly other than the opener we played. But, we got our hands full this week.
One other question is, there are some similarities between their numbers distribution on offense, and they've struggled to run the ball a little bit. I think their guy had 103 yards last week, but by and large, that's been a struggle for them. What kind of challenges do they present? I know last year they threw it around a lot and were pretty effective.
They were, and a little bit like us. You can't take the first game out, but you take the first game out and add it up, and it makes things look a little different. So I think that skews it a little bit. They've probably been a heavy run first team historically. I think Artopia's changed that. And when they were throwing it around, and he's coming off of a shoulder surgery, and he looks more comfortable every week doing it. Really good group of receivers. I think they got another good running back, and so you just watch them. They get a little better each week. I think our games in our league are going to be like that every week. I hadn't seen anybody that I think just is just not a lot of people are scoring tons of points. I think there's a lot of good defensive teams. Quarterback play is going to be huge, I think, going forward. That's, I'm really pleased where Trey is as the progression. If we can continue to improve and help him, and obviously some things he's got to do better, but you just got to find a way to get wins. On defense, it's getting stops and being really good in the kicking game. Again, they've changed defense coordinators, but they hadn't really changed what they're doing. They look real similar. They run to the ball. Offensively, it's the same group of guys. So it's again, I just think that's how it's going to be here every week, and you got to find a way. You look at those scores from last week. A bunch of close games. You got to find ways to win games.
Coach, that is it from the assembled media here. I'll give you a chance for a final thought, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, no, we're just happy to be 1-0 in the conference, and certainly got a huge game for us this week. I do know we have fall break coming up, which I'm really disappointed we set that on the week of a home game. But we'll be there ready to go. We need to have a great week of practice. But again, just looking forward to be a huge challenge for us. But I think certainly one we're up for too, and just know we got to be better, and just excited to watch the season go forward and continue to have some young guys step up, and that's just got to be our focus for the week. But I appreciate you being here.
Well, kickoff for Furman and Chattanooga here at Paladins Stadium on Saturday is 2 p.m. The game will be available via ESPN Plus, and our radio broadcast will begin with the Pepsi Countdown to kickoff at 12:30. We would love to have you in the stadium. As I try to remind you every week, Dwight Covington would love to sell you tickets. So go to FurmanPaladins.com and let's get a bunch of purple in the seats for a huge game coming up between Furman and Chattanooga. Thank you to Clay Hendricks, to Luke Clark, Eli Brasher, and for all of us here at Furman, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you. So long, everybody.